This is my house.
Hello there, it's Doctor Who again, and I had quite an angry response to my review of the first special, the one with the Meep, including the question, what exactly is your problem with the battle wheelchair? And my problem is, why would anyone by choice send a wheelchair-using scientist with a disability into battle against soldiers? I liked Stephen Hawking, but it would not have been my first choice for a game of laser tag. Instead of calling for backup, the scientist stays in the steelworks and fights alone against the soldiers, and instead of using a weapon she can actually aim and point, the weapons she has are built into the fixed frame of a wheelchair, with a button on the side of the wheelchair so she can't move for several seconds while she tries to use them. It's ludicrous. The buttons are right on the side of the wheelchair frame. What happens if she accidentally knocks the side of the wheelchair when she's going through a door? Oops, there go the mini missiles again, and there goes the side of the building. Third time this week. Never mind though, the battle wheelchair is very empowering, and I never liked Ace Squad anyway. The battle wheelchair as a concept is ridiculous. It's like a parody. It's like a skit from The Onion. But if you really want to turn this lady scientist into a weapon of war, maybe you should encase her in bulletproof armour. Maybe something like this. It would be so empowering. And if you need me to spell this out for you, they took a scientist with a disability, and the only way that they could think of to give her agency was through violence, not by using her mind. Granted, she may not quite fit in a Dalek shell, but they could scrunch her down in there, or better yet, just take her brain out altogether and hook that into the Dalek. She'd be brutally powerful, and actually able to aim for once. Make a whole bunch of them, Earth would be unstoppable. Those brainwashed soldiers would not have stood a chance. She could have exterminated all of them. She could also get upstairs. It makes perfect sense, as clearly the only value a scientist could provide is as a weapon. It would be so empowering. Anyway, on to the third special. I'll be here forever. Let's just jump right in, because this one is a wild ride. The episode is a real mixed bag of some things I liked, some things I didn't, and a whole lot of confusion. We open up in the UK 1925 in a toy shop run by Neil Patrick Harris, who used to be Doogie Howser MD, and now he's in Doctor Who, doing a very patchy and strange stab at an extremely camp German accent. I know quite a lot of Germans, and I can't imagine an actual German ever saying something like, "It is raining, is it not? All of the water all splishy splashy," because that doesn't make any sense in German. You can say, "Es regnet," for it is raining, or "Es geregnet," it was raining. The GE is for the past tense, but the character isn't really German anyway. So a German would not tend to make the mistake of saying something like, "It is raining," because it would be like they were trying to say, was raining. Doctor Who has a habit of putting things into the episodes that people have a visceral phobia of, and in this episode we have creepy puppets and Germans. Just joking, Germany. Well, kind of. But note I said phobia for an irrational fear. But I don't want to be too hard on Neil Patrick Harris, because he really does seem to have put his heart and soul into this character, and he's one of the better parts of the episode for me. He plays the role in such a massively over-the-top camp way. A man comes into his shop wanting to buy a puppet, a man by the name of Charles Banerjee, in the show an assistant to the inventor of television, John Logie Baird, and given Doctor Who's track record, I was curious. Was this person a real historical figure? Not the puppet. The puppet he bought supposedly was real. I'm talking about Charles Banerjee, because they just made Isaac Newton Indian in the last episode, so my trust in the makers of this show is not very high at this point. And it appears I was right to be distrustful, because when I looked, I couldn't find any records of a Charles Banerjee apart from in this show. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but when I searched for who Baird's assistants were, I got the name Paul Reveley. And the first person on TV, according to Google, was William Tainton, an office boy who worked near Baird in 1925. So I don't want to say definitively I may have missed something, but it appears that Doctor Who may have written the character into the story for yet more bolted on diversity with all the subtlety of this. And talking of subtlety, Neil Patrick Harris, playing the toy maker in this episode, says things that are such an obvious giveaway that he's evil, it's absurd. But then the whole episode kind of is. And strangely, that's one of the things I liked most about it. Of the many flaws the episode had, and it had a great many, at least it wasn't predictable. The puppet is to be used by Baird to record for TV. Back to the current day, the Doctor had stepped out of the TARDIS and the world was now in chaos. Humanity had collectively gone insane and are ripping everything apart, while the toy maker, now putting on a French accent and in a top hat, dances through the streets, and it's some performance from Neil Patrick Harris, the toy maker. Think Q from Star Trek. He's a godlike creature that can will things into reality, and I quite like the shot composition during this episode. Someone behind the camera has a real artistic eye. The Doctor then gets taken in by soldiers belonging to the group Unit and taken to their HQ. And this was the part of the episode when I thought they were going to do something possibly interesting, because we learn that the people of Earth have been driven mad by TV and social media, turned into a planet of egotists who are all convinced they are right and refuse to listen to other people. And who is the show referring to? They may mean the critics, but imagine being so arrogant that you're not willing to listen to anyone else. Just imagine, who would be that person, right?
Somebody please get this man
a mirror. And this is the guy trying to give people a lesson on why they should be willing to listen and reflect, and not just be convinced they're right all the time. He's a total hypocrite. Heal thyself, Russell T Davies. But also at Unit, they brought back the actress Bonnie Langford. She's an old Doctor Who companion from 1986, and I kind of like it when shows do that instead of just forgetting the actors from the past. And I sat up and paid attention at this point, thinking, where are they going with this whole thing? And the answer is nowhere. They start to introduce a subject and then just blow it up. They do nothing with it. Instead, the episode just goes crazy. The Doctor works out that humanity's been programmed by a signal coming through every screen, and it's making them insane. And again, is this some sort of grand metaphor for the BBC and the greater broadcast industry? So the Doctor goes back to 1925 and the time of the first TV recordings to try and find the initial source of the insanity, and finds himself in the shop of the Celestial Toy Maker, who he recognises. The Toy Maker runs away, and when they follow him, the Doctor and Donna find themselves trapped in a maze of doors and corridors that obey no laws or logic. You can go through one door, reopen the same door, and the maze will have shifted around you. And this part felt kind of unoriginal. The scene with the Celestial Toy Maker as a giant operating a man as a puppet reminded me of a lot of the Scarecrow scenes from Batman Arkham Asylum, and similarly, Donna gets attacked by aggressive dolls in a scene that heavily reminded me a lot of a very similar scene with dolls in the 1968 movie Barbarella. The Doctor and Donna find each other and also the Toy Maker, and the Doctor challenges him to a game, a challenge that by the Toy Maker's own rules he's forced to accept. They cut cards for the fate of the universe. The Doctor loses, but before the Toy Maker can claim his prize, the Doctor reminds him that when they met before, the Doctor won, so now it had to be a best of 3. They go to play their final game in 2023, the Toy Maker disappears, and the Doctor and Donna go back to 2023 to Unit headquarters to prepare for the final game. They're going to start by using an energy weapon to disable a satellite and shut off the TV signal that's driving people insane. And I'm not sure why the Doctor just doesn't go in the TARDIS to switch off the satellites, but this is the moment when the train fully goes off of the tracks and crashes through the roof of a gay bar. This is going to sound like a joke, but as they're all seriously talking in the Unit headquarters about what to do, and the professionals at Unit are asking what the Toy Maker is and what he can do, a song starts playing in the background as Neil Patrick Harris's Toy Maker comes through a door that he made in thin air, dressed as a drum major, and the song is Spice Up Your Life by the Spice Girls.
It's too gay for me. Thought I could handle it, but I can't.
It'll be the interval soon.
Well, I'm captivated, Roy.
Calm down, at least it can't get any worse.
Neil Patrick Harris, bless him, then does a full musical dance number as multiple copies of him flounce around the room like it's a Bollywood film. Now, did I like it? I don't know exactly. I'm not even sure what it is. Did I see it coming? Any of it? No. There's unpredictable, and then there's this. What am I even watching? The unit soldiers try to open fire on the Toymaker, but as they do, rose petals come out of their weapons. 2 of them try to grab him, but he turns them into rubber balls. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I have to compliment it for that, if that alone. Neil Patrick Harris goes for it fully. There's complete commitment. He then disappears again, and when they see the Toymaker, he's stolen their giant laser weapon. The Doctor tries to convince him to leave, with him in the TARDIS, to go and see the universe, and leave humanity in peace, but the Toymaker just enjoys tormenting people too much, and blasts the Doctor in the chest with the laser. And in Doctor Who, this is usually how an actor's run as the Doctor ends. The actor leaves, and then the character regenerates as the new Doctor. Usually, but on this occasion, the Doctor doesn't die. Instead, he splits down the middle, like a single-celled organism, into 2 Doctor Whos. David Tennant and the new guy, Ncuti Gatwa. Now, usually for the new Doctor, their outfit will change from the old one. They'll get a whole new look. But another thing that I was not expecting was Ncuti Gatwa to materialise in his pants. He has a shirt, an open tie, his pants and some tennis shoes. And I'm not sure how any of this works, or what Ncuti Gatwa was in the middle of doing when he got stopped, and I'm not sure I want to know. But the 2 Doctors now challenge the Toymaker to one final game for the fate of the entire universe, and it all comes down to a game of catch. They throw a ball around for the fate of the universe, and the first team to drop it loses. And is Ncuti Gatwa going to put some trousers on first? No?
I don't want it.
Please, I really want you to get the man some trousers before they start playing catch.
I told you I don't want it.
It doesn't matter what you want.
The Toymaker loses when he finally drops the ball, much like Russell T Davies on the scripts for these specials, and David Tennant wishes the Toymaker away, at which point he goes 2-dimensional and folds himself. They put him in a box for storage, and all that's left is a gold tooth that I think is supposed to be the Doctor Who's old nemesis, the Master. I've got nothing.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
With the day saved, now what do? They've now got 2 Doctors and only 1 TARDIS. But Ncuti Gatwa won the game as well, so he still has a wish. He picks up a clown hammer from inside the TARDIS, hits the TARDIS on the side, and it splits into 2 TARDISes. TARDI? So now both Doctors have one. Ncuti Gatwa's even has a jukebox and a wheelchair ramp. And oh boy is Ncuti Gatwa flamboyant. He's a lot. And can he please put some trousers on? No. Instead, he has to stand right next to the camera in just his pants. But honestly, from the promotional material that the show put out, I was expecting him to be even camper.
Do it.
I mean, normally they try to find a pretty young woman like Jenna Lee Coleman or Karen Gillan, but in recent times they've tended to go for comedians, so do it. Alan Carr, do it, you cowards. You want to go nuts? Let's go nuts. Or maybe get Coco from Robin Hood. Sadly, on the current form, I can see Doctor Who getting cancelled again. It would not shock me in the slightest if it did. Doctor Who shouldn't be hard to make. Go to the Royal Academy, get some good young actors for the Doctor and his companions. Jen Louise Coleman was a draw all on her own. Maybe stop setting so many stories on Earth, write some new and interesting bad guys, and boom, you've got a show. But at least the episode finished on a high note. Usually the end of a Doctor's run is quite a melancholic thing. You've got to like the actor and the character, and they're going for good. But instead, David Tennant is alive but burnt out, and in need of a holiday. He's going to maybe retire, so he goes to stay with Donna and her family, because he needs some looking after, and he's too thin and gaunt. And well, whatever Donna has been eating should do the trick on that front. I don't know what they've been putting in the tuna madras, but it would make me lose weight. Call me a softie and sentimental if you must, but I do quite like a happy ending, and I think I prefer it this way to having the old Doctor just fade away. Meanwhile, Ncuti Gatwa is going off on new adventures. The Doctor's old nemesis, the Master, will probably be back again. They teased his return in this episode, as well as something waiting quietly in the darkness. Something that scared even the toy maker. So how would I sum the whole thing up? It was completely incoherent, but at least I wasn't bored. What did I just watch?
Fuck. Jesus.
I can feel your anger.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.